Welcome to Lesson 2. Today we're going to learn one of the most practical tools in human-centered design, the empathy map. This is a structured way to organize what we learn about the people we're designing for. It pushes us beyond demographics and statistics to understand what people actually think, feel, say, and do. An empathy map makes the abstract concrete. It takes all those conversations and observations and puts them into a format that reveals insights and contradictions. Let's learn how to build one. By the end of this lesson, you'll accomplish 3 objectives. First, construct empathy maps using the four-quadrant framework. You'll know what goes in each section and how to populate it with real data. Second, identify contradictions between stated preferences and observed behaviors. These contradictions are where the real insights live. When people say one thing but do another, that gap tells us something important. And third, extract insights from your empathy mapping exercises. An empathy map is not an end product, it's a thinking tool that generates insights for design. An empathy map is a visual tool for organizing what you learn about users. Imagine a large square divided into 4 quadrants. Each quadrant captures a different dimension of the user's experience. The 4 quadrants are says, thinks, does, and feels. We'll go through each in detail. The crucial point is that empathy maps are based on observation and conversation, not assumption. You don't fill them out by guessing what people think. You fill them out based on what you've actually heard and seen. This tool also creates shared understanding across teams. When everyone can see the empathy map, everyone shares the same picture of who you're designing for. Let's start with the says quadrant. This is for direct quotes from users. What do they say out loud about the topic you're exploring? Statements about their needs. I need something quick because I'm always rushed. Statements about their preferences. I prefer to talk to someone in person rather than use the website. Statements about their experiences. Last time I tried to get help, no one returned my call. The key is to use their actual words, not your paraphrase. When you paraphrase, you filter through your assumptions. When you use their words, you preserve their meaning. Put quote marks around entries in the says quadrant to remind yourself these are direct quotes. The thinks quadrant captures what's going on in the user's mind. This includes beliefs and assumptions. They probably won't have what I need. This won't work for someone like me. It includes mental models, how they understand how things work. Insurance is confusing on purpose to keep people from using it, and it includes things they might not say out loud. Private thoughts you infer from context. I'm embarrassed to ask for help. I don't trust these people. Since we can't read minds, the thinks quadrant is inferential. You fill it out based on what people say, how they say it, and how they behave. But be careful. Label these as interpretations and stay open to being wrong. The does quadrant is about observable actions and behaviors. What do you see people actually doing? This includes routines and habits. She checks her blood sugar every morning. He always brings a family member to appointments. It includes workarounds, creative solutions people have developed. She keeps her medications in a weekly pill organizer on the kitchen table so she doesn't forget. And importantly, it includes behaviors that might differ from what people say they do. Someone might say, I always take my medication as prescribed, but observation reveals missed doses. This gap between says and does is where important insights live. We'll come back to that. The feels quadrant captures emotional state and reactions. What emotions come up for the user? Frustrations. I'm so tired of explaining my situation over and over. Fears. I'm scared of what the test might show. Hopes. I just want to feel normal again. Motivations. I want to be healthy for my grandchildren. What makes them anxious, excited, comfortable? Emotions are crucial because they often drive behavior more than logic does. Someone might know intellectually that they should get screened, but if the thought of the screening fills them with anxiety, that emotion becomes a barrier. Understanding feelings helps us design interventions that address emotional barriers, not just informational ones. Here's where empathy maps become powerful. Look for contradictions between quadrants. Compare says versus does. Do people's actions match their words? Someone says health is my top priority but doesn't attend scheduled appointments. That contradiction is interesting. What's getting in the way? Compare thinks versus feels. Do beliefs align with emotions? Someone thinks they can manage their diabetes but feels overwhelmed and hopeless. That mismatch matters for how we support them. Contradictions reveal barriers, opportunities, and deeper truths. They show us where stated intentions meet real-world constraints. They point to where our interventions need to work. Don't judge these contradictions. Seek to understand them. The goal is not to say people are being dishonest. The goal is to understand the complexity of their lives. An empathy map is not an end product, it's a tool for generating insights. Once you've created empathy maps for several users, look for patterns. What themes emerge across multiple people? Those patterns are likely widespread and important to address. Identify the most significant pain points. What frustrations or difficulties appear consistently? What causes the most emotional distress? These are priorities for intervention. Note unmet needs that current services don't address. What are people trying to accomplish that no existing program helps with? That's an opportunity. And ask the design question, what might we create to address what we've learned? The empathy map should generate ideas for solutions that actually fit people's lives. Some practical guidance for building empathy maps. Start with real data, conduct interviews, observe people in their environments, have conversations. Don't fill out an empathy map based on assumptions. That defeats the purpose. Create one map per user segment or persona. If you're serving different types of users with different experiences, they need separate maps. The single mom's empathy map looks different from the retired veteran's. Work collaboratively. Bring your team together to share and discuss interpretations. What did you hear? What did you observe? Diverse perspectives enrich the map and catch blind spots. And keep the empathy map visible. Post it on the wall. Reference it throughout the design process. It should guide every design decision. What would this feel like for the person on our empathy map? Let's summarize our key takeaways. Empathy maps organize user research into four quadrants: says, thinks, does, and feels. Each captures a different dimension of user experience. They must be based on actual observation and conversation, not assumption. The power comes from real data about real people. Contradictions between quadrants reveal important insights. When what people say doesn't match what they do, that gap points to barriers and opportunities. Patterns across multiple empathy maps point to widespread needs that affect many users. These are priorities for intervention. And keep empathy maps visible and reference them throughout design. They keep the user central to every decision. In our next lesson, we'll learn to create personas, bringing our empathy map insights to life in memorable characters. Thank you.